eyes are glued on the first round of France's presidential election across the globe, the French language is taking centre stage. A group of young people in Chicago have come together to put on the first ever Francophone theatre festival, and they've decided the best way to practice and improve French speaking is by performing it, and they've done just that. Helping them in this task is American comedian Sebastian Marx, who lives in Paris. RFI's Brian Eads asked him why it was so important for him to take part in this festival and risk missing the French election.
Yeah, I'm here in Chicago for the weekend, so I am voting.
Donc du coup, Yann, il est pas là?
But I'm not having the voting experience, unfortunately. But yeah, I felt it was very important for me to come out here for this festival because I feel it's very important to have young children, especially in the United States, learn another language, and it's a very good way to do it. Doing theater, performance is a very fun way to learn another language. And what I've been seeing, what I saw tonight, for example, there's this whole group of young teenagers who are really getting a thrill of speaking French and doing it on stage, and it's kind of a good excuse to really learn the language, and I felt that was very inspiring.
Now, of course, there are lots of languages to choose from. Tell us about your love of the French language.
Let's say it's a love-hate relationship because, well, I didn't speak any French before coming to France, and so I had my struggles with the French language, which is very normal because even the French have issues with the French language to such an extent that they also make mistakes, and they're very frustrated with it, and they have their own ways of getting around speaking French well. So it's a fascinating language. It's so complex and complicated, but it's also why I love it, and I think that's also why the French love it. They're great ways to express oneself through this language to such an extent. Now that I'm back in the States for the long weekend and I'm speaking English, sometimes I'm looking for expression, the equivalent in English, and there just isn't one. And so yeah, it's a very rich language, and I like that a lot.
I'm told, which came as a surprise to me, that many French people are charmed by English language speakers speaking French.
Yeah, I think because it's rare. I don't think there are many English speakers who make the effort today, especially because English, you kind of get the impression now that you can travel the world and just speak English. And so when people actually make that effort to learn French, and I guess also because the French know how complicated it is, that when they see English speakers trying to learn the language, I guess they are charmed by that. And yeah, they also like the American or English-speaking accent. They're charmed by it. I guess this whole Jane Birkin thing. Jane Birkin was very popular in France.
So last but not least, why should the people of Chicago come and watch you?
Well, because I'm here for a very short time, and people who are fans of anything that's culture clash, anything that's fish out of water experience, I talk about that. Of course, I'm specifically talking about the culture clash between the United States and France, but it is a very universal experience, and seeing that traveling and living abroad is becoming more and more of a thing today, thanks to the internet. We can work abroad and live abroad now, and I'm talking about all this modern experience of what that is like, and it's talking about that universal human experience in a funny way. So that's why they should come and see me.
Well, that was American comedian Sebastian Marx speaking to RFI's Brian Eads about the first ever Francophone Youth Theatre Festival in Chicago.